Welcome to Pre-Calculus, Chapter 2, Section 1. Today we're going to look at polynomials, specifically graphing quadratic functions. When we consider the quadratic formula, we have x equals negative b plus or minus a square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Well, this is a, b, and c. That's the position of that. That's called a quadratic function. F of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are some constant values, and of course a doesn't equal 0. Because if a equals 0, then that would be a linear function. So, every quadratic has a line of symmetry. The line of symmetry goes through its vertex. And if we wanted to graph this efficiently, if we had that vertex point, we could just plug in a couple x values on one side or the other, and then just mirror them across that line of symmetry. And we would easily be able to save ourselves some time in graphing the parabola. The leading coefficient is the number. It's the coefficient that is with the x squared. When the leading coefficient is positive, the parabola will open upwards. And the vertex will be a minimum. When the lead coefficient, when this number is positive, the vertex will be a minimum because the parabola is opening up from the vertex. And like that, when it's negative, when a is a negative number, then the vertex is a maximum from which the parabola will open downward. The easiest ones are when you just have the x squared term. So what we do here is we know the stretching and compressing of the parabola, and so we're able to plot the points and graph it. Without the other terms, we know that our vertex is centered on the y-axis, which makes that easier to graph. You remember that it stretches when you multiply by a whole number, and it compresses when you multiply by a fraction. And we can see that these are not correct. These are not correct. This should be 2x squared because it's longer, it's narrower, and this should be 1/2 x squared. Okay, so this again should be 2x squared, and this over here should be the 1/2 x squared. So the book company has misinformed us. We remember how to shift our graph. We're going to move to the right 3 spaces. We're going to move up 2 spaces. So we start with x squared. We move to the right 3 spaces, and then we move up 2 spaces. And this is how we graph f of x equals quantity x minus 3 to the 2nd power plus 2. So it's the same shape as f of x, shifted upwards 2, right 3. This lets us come up with this formula here, where we call the standard form of a quadratic, where we're able to find the vertex of it, because the vertex will be at the point h comma k. Because it's always going to be moved right h units and then up k units. X move, y move. And it's starting at 0, so it just tells us how far to move, and that gives us our vertex. So if we wanted to take this and graph it, what we would need to do is put this into this form, into the standard form. And what we're seeing here is that they've grouped these two terms, factored the common factor out, factored it again, and rewritten it in the standard form. We see our vertex is going to be the point -1, -3. -1, -3. Now we're going to learn how to do what's called completing the square to complete that operation. So what we do here is we group these two terms together, factor out that negative, and then we're going to add half of this number squared. Please see part B for the operation called completing the square. Thank you.